I'm absolutely delighted to see all of you gathered here for Triveni Haikai India 4th anniversary celebrations. A Himalayan-sized thank you to each and every one of you. At the outset, I would like to thank Susan, Antolin, and Michael Dylan Welch for being our honored guests. I also wish to thank Kashiana Singh for hosting this Zoom session. Without you, we couldn't have managed. Thank you. Thanks go to Padma Rajeswari for all the behind-the-scenes work for the Triveni Awards, and to Vani, Sathyanarayan, and Sonali Rasal for managing the registrations for this Utsav. Additionally, I extend my gratitude to Rohan Kevin Broach for editing and uploading the Triveni Utsav 2025 video on our Triveni YouTube channel when it gets ready. Triveni Haikai India extends its gratitude to the pioneers who laid our foundation, starting with two of our eminent poets who introduced haiku to the Indian audience, Rabindranath Tagore in Bangla and Subramanya Bharati in Tamil. Later, Professor Satyabhushan Verma, Professor B.S. Agarwal, and Dr. Anjali Devdar worked tirelessly to promote haiku primarily within the Hindi-speaking regions of northern India. The initiatives over the years culminated in the founding of In Haiku on 23rd February during the Haiku Utsav 2013 in Pune. In Haiku expanded into a larger community of haiku enthusiasts and practitioners, becoming known as Triveni, a Facebook group. Soon, Triveni developed into an activity hub for all Japanese short-form poetry, and as engagement grew, the need for a website was recognized. Since 2005, I have aimed to create a website dedicated to Indian haiku. At last, Triveni Haikai India was officially launched on 18th September 2021 after 6 months of focused effort by our web designer, Rohan Kevin Broach. Thank you, Rohan. What a beautiful home you have created for us. Thanks a lot. In Indian tradition, Triveni refers to the confluence of three major rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. It symbolizes India, Japan, and the rest of the world coming together to celebrate Haikai literature. With this vision in mind, Triveni Haikai India was launched with multiple webmasters collaborating. Unlike typical Haikai websites that promote one-way communication, ours encourages continuous interaction to build a community. 35 poets collaborate, uploading weekly prompts into the Wix dashboard, and the system has been running smoothly for 4 years now without a crash. I think this needs a great applause. The essence of Triveni Haikai India is its interactive nature. Although it might change in different forms, I sincerely hope this interactive and nurturing element stays forever. Now, for a brief look at haiku, which we all love, I would love to talk about Haibun and Tanka also, because it's dear to Triveni Haikai India, but lack of time, I'll just talk about the Haikai forms you can take it. Look at this beauty. It's one of my favorites. We sit together, the mountain and I. We sit together, the mountain and I, until only the mountain remains. Lipo. It appears to be a poem that has only just begun, but remains unfinished. It's up to the reader to complete it, and this is what we call the semicircle of a haiku. What I find most fascinating is how learning to appreciate and write haiku helps students and newcomers understand the importance of being brief, concise, and caring. Haiku encourages us to be observant and to find joy in simple things. The beauty of haiku lies in its ever-changing nature. Haruo Shirani, a noted science haiku scholar, describes it as transportability. Transportability, I love this word. Haiku being an experiential poem, each country has its own way of expressing thoughts rooted in its surroundings and culture. Once a sleeping giant, India is awakened. Our haiku, senryu, haibun, and tanka are rooted in Indianness. Haiku should not be regarded merely as description-based sketches from life or image-centric word pictures. The true haiku spirit becomes clear when the poem focuses on activity, becomingness, impermanence, and nature's creativity. Haiku seems simple, but we all know that nothing from Japan is ever easy. Whether it is karate, judo, ikebana, bonsai, or landscaping, all require years of dedication, practice, and a love for simplicity. And we all understand that being simple is the most challenging skill of all. Alan Watts, English philosopher, writer, and speaker, says, "To my mind, haiku is beyond all doubt at once the simplest and the most sophisticated form of literature in the world. For the invariable mark of great artistry is its artlessness." And Alan adds that in haiku, the author knows when to stop. Do we? I wonder. We try to. To all our Triveni members and participants here, I cannot thank you enough for the overwhelming encouragement you have all given to Triveni Haikai India. Let us journey together along the path of Haikai. Let's embrace Haikai as a way of life. And most importantly, let us stay together. We have many exciting events happening on Triveni every week. The sun never sets for us. Since I entered the Haikai world, I have believed and adhered to this African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Now, for the announcement of the Triveni Awards 2025. This is our second year organizing the awards, and we are pleased to share that for the Triveni Awards 2025, we received entries from 51 countries with 333 poets submitting a total of 656 poems. Our judges were Michael Dylan Welch and Ashish Narain. I first met Michael nearly 18 years ago. I was new to haiku, and we didn't have workshopping forums or Facebook back then. I had sent him an email with many of my haiku asking for his feedback. He wrote back saying he was actually having lunch and would reply when he got the time. I don't know, Michael, whether you'd remember this, but within 15 minutes, I received a detailed reply from him. It was such good feedback. Over the years, whenever I had a problem or a doubt, I have contacted him, and he has always responded. I'm pleased to say he's one of our judges for the Triveni Awards 2025. Ashish Narain is one of our editors for the Haiku Katha Journal, which we publish every month. I have great admiration for his involvement and thoughtfulness. He is a valuable member of our team, and I can only extend a heartfelt thanks to him for co-editing this contest. Now, over to the judges. Can you put them both on the same?
I will try. Otherwise, I'll switch between one and the
Yes,
other.
yes, yes.
Maybe Michael wants to go first.
Okay.
I don't know if he was able to join back.
I don't see Michael on, Ashish.
Michael is
Ah,
there.
okay.
Oh, there,
Yes,
he's there.
he's there. He's there.
Okay, I'll do the needful. Keep going. Yeah.
I'm here, but I'm having trouble with the audio and video.
You're perfectly audible, Michael. So maybe you just want to go ahead with.
Ashish, I think he's
Okay.
coming in and out. I'm going to spotlight you for now.
Okay, sure. Maybe this wasn't part of the plan, but let me first of all just start by saying thank you. First of all, to Kala for introducing me to haiku and for starting Triveni, and also to everyone on Triveni. Uh, it's a wonderful community, and I think it's so good. I know so many of you because I read your poems and I feel like I know you. But it's good to see everybody's face now. I also wanted to say a big thank you to Michael before we start. He may not remember it, but when I was just starting, I'd written to him and he said, "Oh, why don't you get in touch with Kala? She writes wonderful haiku in India." And he put me in touch with Kala. He sent me the email address, and that's how everything started. Uh, but maybe in the interest of time, I'll just start with a brief introduction of how we went about it, and then maybe Michael can come in if his audio works. I'll read the first part, which is just a general overview. If haiku are poems of shared experience, we hope you especially enjoy the selections from the 2025 Triveni Haiku Contest. We looked for vivid and fresh images, often with seasonal settings, but mostly sought youthfulness and wonder. Not every haiku is joyful, of course, but they all seem to express gratitude for whatever experience each poem highlights. In this way, haiku are a means of cultivating gratitude, of cultivating an appreciation for life around us. Our congratulations to the poets represented here, and thanks also to the many poets whose work came close and those who took part in the joy of writing haiku by entering this contest. As you receive these poems, we invite you to take your time. Perhaps read each poem aloud. May each poem give you contentment and gratitude. Uh, if Michael is still not able to join,
Yes,
oh, yes, Michael, go ahead.
I'm here. I'm still having a bit of trouble, but yes, it was a pleasure to review all the poems with you, Ashish. Um, it's always I have to remind myself to read slowly. It's when you have hundreds of poems to read, you can read too quickly, and you can gloss over them or go too quickly. And I have to remind myself with each poem that this is an expression by an individual person, and it mattered enough to them to write it down and to submit it. And it's my job as an editor to read it with care and appreciation. And unfortunately, we can only select so many winners. But many other poems were wonderful, and it was a pleasure to read them, even if we're not able to share all of them with you.
Michael, do you want to read out the first winning poem?
I am still having a little trouble here. I'm
Okay.
trying to restart my computer, actually. So if you
Sure.
could read those, that would be useful.
Sure. I'll go ahead then. First poem by Lorraine. Drowsy day. Our watermelon seeds speckle the cat. Drowsy day. Our watermelon seeds speckle the cat. Maybe I'll just go ahead and read my my comments on this. while Michael is still setting up. A brilliantly executed poem where every word has meaning. Watermelon strongly suggests summer. The sense of not having a care in the world is conveyed by Drowsy, as well as by the cat who can't even be bothered to walk away as the speeds are spat on her. The word speckled again shows that this has been going on for a while the R shows that the poet is not alone. All in all, we feel a strong sense of calm, the full enjoyment of an ordinary moment that lifts this haiku to extraordinary. Thank you.
And I can read my comments. What better to do on a drowsy day than to enjoy watermelon? This shared experience, indicated by our, has a sense of joy or delight, and the people in this light-hearted poem are having a bit of fun, perhaps by spitting the seeds toward their cat. The cat, too, is too drowsy to be concerned. The poem has the feeling of Basho's notion of karumi, or lightness. The watermelon suggests that this is a carefree summer moment, and the poem invites us to share this delight.
Lovely. I would request Lorraine, if she's here. I think she is here to read her poem and say what inspired her. Lorraine?
Yes, I'm here. Drowsy day. Our watermelon seeds speckle the cat. It was a cold winter's day when I started to write this, and I was thinking back to my childhood. We lived in the inland, and the summers were very, very hot, 100 degrees, not Celsius, God, Fahrenheit. I was one of 4 children, and Mum would often buy watermelon, a summer favourite with the kids. We had lots of cats as well, so I thought, well, I might put these together. Although I don't remember spitting seeds at our poor cat, it was something we could have well done.
Lovely.
That's
Lovely.
it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I could read the second place poem. It's by Adelaide B. Shaw from Somers, New York in the United States. A shaft of sunlight. The stairwell becomes a cathedral. A shaft of sunlight. The stairwell becomes a cathedral. And these are my comments on the poem. This vivid image transforms the mundane into the sacred, the ordinary into the extraordinary. A key aspect, perhaps subtle, is that the poem dwells on a private change of perception, one that's easy to relate to. The stairwell is not a cathedral, but the shaft of light makes it seem as if it is. More importantly, the poet recognizes the sacredness of an ordinary stairwell as being equal to a cathedral, perhaps suggesting a larger awe and appreciation for everything around us.
Lovely. Michael, thank you so much.
And maybe
Ashish?
I'll go ahead and read mine.
Yes.
There's wonder in everything, and this haiku speaks to me of that. The poet's use of the in qualifying the stairwell suggests that this is well known to them. Yet one shaft of sunlight, perhaps from the setting sun, is enough to transform it into something marvelous. While no season is mentioned to me, it speaks of early autumn when dust hovers in the air, and there's just enough light that it's not a glare. Congratulations, Adelaide.
Lovely. I think she is not here. Kashiana, I don't think, because it's again very late for her, I think.
I don't see her on color.
Yes. So we go on to the next one. Third, even Tracy is not here. She's not able to make it. Michael?
Michael is on mute. Michael, you need to unmute yourself if you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, apologies there. Yes, the third place poem is by Tracy Davidson from Stratford-upon-Avon in the United Kingdom, which is a place I've enjoyed visiting to see some of the Shakespeare treasures there. Tracy's poem is Sacred Mountain. I tire halfway to enlightenment. And I write, some readers may wonder if this is a haiku or a senryu, or perhaps it doesn't matter. However, haiku can have humor too, and this poem's humor pokes a bit of fun at the poet and our human frailty, even in the light of pursuing a noble aim to climb to the top, if not to seek enlightenment. Our tiredness reminds us of our humanity, and perhaps that's a different kind of enlightenment.
Thank you. Lovely.
And my comments were as such. As someone from India who's trekked extensively in the Himalayas and to the four Char Dhams, I found this poem instantly spoke to me. The quiet humor adds to the appeal. However, it also caused me to cause me to pause and consider. Striving for enlightenment is hard, and it's only human to get tired midway. Thank you, and congratulations, Tracy.
Lovely. Lovely. I think you can proceed to the honorable mentions.
Do we have time to read the comments or just read the
Yes.
poems?
Yes, read the comments. That will be nice.
Okay. So the first honorable mention, these are unranked, so in no particular order. The first poem to share here is by Pascal Pozo di Borgo from Bastia, France. Heatwave alert. Children blow on a wind chime. It's such a hot day that no wind stirs the wind chime. The children are wishing not just for a cooling wind, but for the melodious sound of the chimes. And so there is a wind after all, coming from the mouths of children. Ashish?
Ashish, your volume.
Ashish, you're on mute.
Yes, I got muted. The phrase and fragment complement each other really well. How quiet and still it must be that bored children amuse themselves by blowing on the wind chime. Congratulations.
Lovely. Very true.
And the
Michael?
next poem is by Kavitha Sriraj, if I'm saying that right, from Hyderabad. Fireplace. The wall holds the shadow of an empty chair. Why is the chair empty? What loss has befallen this family? Or is there any loss at all? We feel at least an absence. On what may be a cozy yet melancholic winter night, the light of the fire draws the poet's attention to the chair's emptiness, and thus to whoever might normally fill it.
A poignant poem. The phrase beautifully conveys missing someone who now remains only in memory, while the fragment suggests winter.
Nice.
Next poem is by Padma Thampati from Wexford in Pennsylvania, United States. Soft breeze, braiding the scent of jasmine into her tress. Soft breeze, braiding the scent of jasmine into her tress. A summer feeling suffuses this poem, where the wind is blowing a woman's hair and also braiding it with the jasmine scent. This richly evocative poem invites us to pause and linger, to share in this sensory moment for as long as we can.
Nice.
The image is strongly Indian. Is it a mother braiding her hair's daughter? Or is it actually the scent that allures the poet, perhaps carried on the soft breeze?
Yeah.
And next we have a poem by Eufemia Griffo from Settimo Milanese in Italy. Summer House, a layer of dust on the old fairy tales. Summer house, a layer of dust on the old fairy tales. After a long winter, a family returns to their summer house not only to find the dust they expected, but also to notice the dust on a book of fairy tales. This is not just any book, but a well-known book of old fairy tales. Those tales have been in the family for a long time, reminding us of the rich history of family tales that they've built over time in their summer home.
I found this to be a really
Nice.
nostalgic poem.
Very nice.
A very nostalgic poem. I can see the poet returning after a long time to a place with many happy childhood memories, as magical as fairy tales.
And our last honorable mention is by Dijan Pavlinovic. Perhaps I'm mispronouncing that. From Pula,
Yes,
Croatia.
yes, Pavlinović Dejan. It's very much right. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you. I'll read it, but if you'd like to read it when we're done and talk about it, that would be nice. Falling star. Falling star, how many of us share the same wish? Falling star, how many of us share the same wish? A touch of subjective musing balances with the concrete image of a falling star. The introspection in this poem looks outward, beyond the private wish, to wondering about the wishes of others. This poem offers a moment of vulnerable empathy.
Very nice.
An intriguing poem that we can read in different ways. The poet may be talking about how common our wishes mostly are, about our and our loved ones' well-being. However, they could also be talking about a well-known person being knocked off their pedestal. It would be good to hear your views, Dejan, and congratulations.
Thank you very, very much. And greetings from Croatia. I'm speaking in front of my house through my mobile phone. I hope that's okay. Yes, the falling star topic has been actually frequently and annually kind of returning back to me because at that time, and I remember exactly when I wrote the basic version, of course, and then I did some rechecking, and then this was the final version. In the month of August, our family always goes camping to the beautiful island of Cres in the Adriatic Sea, and this is always around the falling of the Perseids, which in this part of the world happens around the 10th, 11th, or the 12th of August. And since my kids were young, we always went. We stayed up late and we went to see them. And since the island doesn't have any, not much light, so it's not affected by light pollution. So it's a perfect place to observe the stars, the falling stars. And actually, this is the background and how the idea of the falling star, which everybody sees at the same time, and many of us share the same wishes. So this was a kind of very simple but very intriguing idea that occurred in an instant
Very
moment.
sweet. Very sweet. Thank you. Maybe
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe Kavita can talk to us because she's here, I think. Kavita Sriraj?
Yes,
Yeah,
Kala ma'am,
please.
I'm here.
Yes. Why don't you tell us what inspired you to write that poem? The winner?
Yeah, I'm extremely happy that I received honorable mention for this poem because it is about my grandmother. I recently lost her, and at the same time we had a contest, and I just wrote it in the form directly. I didn't even save it anywhere. So it's very dear to me, and thank you so much for this. I can't thank you enough for this.
Lovely. Lovely. Is anyone else here, Ashish? The winners? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah. So thank you so much. Michael and Ashish, you have done such a beautiful job, and you've been here and you explained the whole thing. The way you understood the poem, it made us. Uh, it's much clearer to us, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we go on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go on to our esteemed special talk given by Susan Antolin and Michael Dylan Welch. Susan Antolin's talk, what she told me was about time. So time is slow when you're waiting. Time is speeding when you're late. Time is never ending when you are sad. Time is short when you're happy. Time is everlasting when you're in pain. Time is fleeting when you think of the years that have passed. Now over to Susan, and we have Vandana who will introduce Susan to us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Kala, Ravi is going to introduce Susan.
I'm sorry. Yes. Ravi, I'm sorry I made this mess. Ravi, please introduce Susan to us.
Thank you, Kala. Good evening, friends. It's indeed my joy and proud privilege to introduce Susan Antolin. I was actually thinking, Susan is a person who needs absolutely no introduction. She is widely known all over the haiku world. But I did find a few interesting things about Susan, which I thought I'll share with all of you. Susan holds a BA in English from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and she's a JD cum laude from the University of San Francisco School of Law. A Juris Doctor, that's what JD stands for. Cum laude is a law degree awarded with Latin honors, meaning with praise, to graduates in the top percentage of their class. So she recently graduated with a Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing from New York University. Susan has actually lived in Japan in the early 80s, and that is where she fell in love with haiku. One of the books that strongly influenced Susan's development as a poet is titled Salad Anniversary by the poet Machi Tawara. Susan has served as the newsletter editor for the Haiku Society of America. She has been the past president of Haiku Poets of Northern California. She operates the small independent publishing company Spare Poems Press. She and her husband live in Walnut Creek, California, where they enjoy hiking in the foothills of Mount Diablo with their two dogs. Now, Susan's first book was published in the year 2009, and it was titled Artichoke Season. It is a book featuring both tanka and haiku. So here is, I've chosen one tanka and one haiku from the book, which I thought I'll share as part of the introduction. So here's the tanka. Piercing potatoes with a fork, I wait for his apology. I'll read that again. Piercing potatoes with a fork, I wait for his apology. And here is the haiku. Pushing her nose under my hand for a pat, spring morning. Pushing her nose under my hand for a pat, spring morning. Susan, I'm guessing this must be one of the two dogs you're referring to here. It's a beautiful example of show, don't tell. Susan's second book was published in the year 2019, and the book is titled The Years That Went Missing. And now this is a book that brought in a lot of laurels for Susan. Among many others, here are a few. This book was awarded the first place in the Backbone Press Haiku Contest. It also won the first place in the Haiku Society of America Merit Book Awards. And this book got Susan her first Touchstone Award for the Distinguished Book. Now, there are two haiku I would like to read from this book, and both of them touched me deeply. The first one is Curriculum Vitae, The Years That Went Missing. Curriculum Vitae, The Years That Went Missing. I come from a recruitment industry where I've scanned through lots of resumes, and one of the things that we scan when we go through a resume or a curriculum vitae is the continuity of a person's work experience. And if there are gaps, we wonder why. On a lighter side, those gaps present the ma in the curriculum vitae. And I'm given to understand on a very serious note that this particular haiku was inspired by those years in Susan's life where she was a caregiver. The second haiku from the book, the the years that went missing, is this: Psych ward, out in the night air, my turn to fall apart. Psych ward, out in the night air, my turn to fall apart. Now we come to the year 2023, which got Susan her second Touchstone Award, and this time it was for an individual poem. It's actually a one-line haiku or monoku. Here it is. The mother, my summer died. The mother, my summer died. This was first published in Mariposa, issue 49. I was just reflecting upon it, and the Touchstone Award editors had glorious things to say. But here is my own quick take on this. When we talk about the death of a dear one, how many ever years apart, we are overwhelmed by emotions, and that overflow of emotions affects the flow of words, and there is a mix and match. This haiku actually reminded me of a personal favorite song which was released in the early 70s by Don McLean. If you guessed it, the song is called American Pie, and the chorus of the lyrics of the chorus of the song goes something like this. I'm not singing it, but here is the lyrics of the chorus. Goes something like, bye bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this will be the day that I die. And finally, about Acorn, we all know Susan as the editor of Acorn. She's actually the longest serving editor of Acorn, and which was actually founded in 1998. And this was founded by A.C. Misius, who was the founding editor till 2007. Carolyn Hall took over as the editor for the years 2008 to 2012. And from the year 2013, Susan has been the editor. And she, as I said, has elevated the journal to new heights and continues to be the editor of the journal. I know how difficult it is. After multiple attempts, I could get just one of my haiku into the journal. I am still trying. Susan, I'll not give up. Over to you, Susan. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this lovely introduction, Ravi, and thank you, Susan, for being here with us. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ravi. That was overwhelming. such a kind, generous introduction. And it is such a pleasure to be here to see all of you. The Triveni Haikai community is truly an integral, important part of the global haiku community. And I treasure all of our interactions. I'm going to share. Oh, it says sharing is not turned on. May I share my screen?
I'm working on it. Susan, I'm working on it. Give me 1 second, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a PowerPoint, and I would love for you to be able to see the poems I'm talking about.
All right, you should be able to share now. Why don't you try? We can see it, Susan.
Yes.
Okay. Good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the various ways we measure time in haiku. And I'm going to start my timer so that I keep track of time as I'm talking about time. The passage of time, how quickly it passes, how fleeting life feels, is one of the central themes not only of haiku, but of all poetry. A preoccupation with the passage of time is something that unites us as human. How do we measure it? How do we account for its passing? Do we perceive it differently from one another? Do our perceptions of time shift as we age or in relation to particular events? Traditionally, of course, haiku have emphasized or even perhaps required a seasonal element. Seasons are inherently dynamic. The earth spins. The seasons do not hold still. And so by placing a poem in any particular season, a sense of time's passing is evoked. While to some extent contemporary English language haiku continues this tradition, season is only one of the many ways the passage of time is conveyed in haiku. For today's discussion, I've gathered poems that demonstrate some of the varied ways time can be presented in haiku. I hope they will serve as useful examples as you consider how you might convey the passage of time in your own work. Here we go, let's see. And so I've created categories. The first one is explicitly stated measures of time. The first and most obvious way to measure time in haiku is by simply telling us the measure of time. So in this example, ice ferns, Dad's 11th day in ICU. This haiku gives us a specific measured unit of time, 11 days. But it also hints at ways we might interpret that length of time. Ice ferns as an opening image is evocative. I think of ice ferns as beautiful and intricately patterned. It is an image from the natural outdoor world, which offers a contrast to the bleak, sterile hospital environment. Yet ice ferns also have a bleakness to them as well. Their intricate patterns are frozen, just as the complex life of this dad may appear frozen in time as he lies there in the ICU, hooked up to monitors, and perhaps not even conscious. Ice ferns often look as though they will spread. Will this dad's time in the ICU continue to grow beyond these 11 days? One gets a vivid sense of how slowly time is passing in this situation and how painfully long 11 days must feel for the speaker of this haiku.
Lovely.
Snow Angel, More Than Half My Life Behind Me by Kristen Lindquist. In terms of form, Snow Angel follows a similar pattern to the previous poem. It begins with a clear visual image in line 1 and an abstract thought in lines 2 and 3, containing a specific measure of time, half a life. The thought on its own, that the speaker feels that more than half her life is behind her, is not enough to make an interesting poem. But the first line gives the clear image of a snow angel, so that when we read lines 2 and 3, we imagine the speaker lying in the snow, waving her arms and legs up and down to form the shape of an angel. In that position, on the ground, facing up with the snow at her back, the thought that more than half her life is behind her feels authentic and moving. What is literally behind her body at that moment is all of the planet. That perhaps more than half her life has passed feels to me like a spontaneously occurring realization. Such large realizations do genuinely occur at the oddest of moments while we are engaged in a mundane activity. Here, the activity is one that is most often associated with children. So we have the added resonance of considering an adult lying down in the snow as if she were a child again. And that gap in time between making snow angels as a child and now, more than half a life later as an adult, creates the poignancy of the moment. Now that we've considered poems that give us specific measures of time, let's look at haiku that take place in the present moment. Wide Blue Sea, This Moment Enough by Jenny Fraser. Even when a poem seems to enact only the present moment, as this one does, I feel an awareness of a past and future is also implied. How long does this moment last? Long enough to take a breath? A few minutes? An afternoon? A stage of life? The one-line structure of this haiku mimics the horizon line between sea and sky, yet the line does not stretch across the entire page. The poet's economy with words fits the sense of enough in the poem, which helps convince me of its emotional truth. A poet who genuinely feels that the moment is enough has the self-control to resist overwriting the poem. There's no ornamentation. The way the poem is crafted convinces me that the sentiment is authentic. Here, for now, First Snow by John Stevenson. Again, we have a haiku that purports to take place in the present moment. The phrase "for now" not only places us in the present, but also implies that it will not last. John Stevenson is one of the great masters of using few words to great effect. This poem consists of only 5 words. Imagine if he had put all 5 words in a single line. The poem would speed right past us. Instead, we take in each line one at a time. Here, for now, first snow. The first snow of the year has perhaps blanketed everything, made the outdoor scene beautiful, or alternately, is the first snow a first difficulty in someone's life? In either case, the message I get is that it, the beauty or the difficulty, will not last, and also that the speaker being here will not last. The words "for now" also answer the question of why we are here. We are here for the moment, to bear witness to whatever it is that is happening now. This next category, I had a hard time naming, but it's short to moderate, yet unspecified spans of time. This category sort of encompasses most haiku, I think. Hospital corridor. The woman beside me measures her knitting by Frances Angela. There are so many ways to measure time without looking at a clock. For example, sitting in a hospital corridor while someone beside you knits. As a knitter myself, I can imagine the woman not only pulling out a measuring tape to measure her progress, but I also see her holding her project at arm's length to see how it is coming along. In the surreal world of a hospital, looking at a clock on a wall may feel meaningless, while the inches being added to a knit scarf or sweater feel tangible and measurable. This haiku beautifully and authentically captures the altered sense of time one often feels in a hospital, and also the sense of community we feel when we find ourselves together with strangers passing time while waiting. Ceaseless Rains, A Patch Under the Banyan, Still Dry by Teji Sethi. While the rain seems as if it will go on endlessly, the dry patch under the banyan tree reminds us that it has not in fact been raining forever and that it will eventually stop. Without the experience of living where there are monsoons or banyan trees, I can only imagine that it could rain for a very long time, many days perhaps, while some spot under the banyan tree remains dry. I sense a hopefulness in this poem that goes beyond the immediate subject of rain.
Yes.
Teak Wood Coffin. They wait to see if I cry by Vandana Parashar. How long do these onlookers wait to see whether the speaker in this poem will cry? The situation is so concisely described that I think we can all imagine ourselves in it. We each have a sense for the length of time one might spend at the side of a coffin, resisting letting the tears fall. The tension created between they and the speaker of the poem is wonderful. All sorts of family dynamics play out in times of grief. This haiku shows us just enough for us to fill in the details on our own.
Lovely.
The Shade Reaches Right Field. Last Call by David Grayson. In this haiku, the ballpark acts as a sort of sundial as the sun moves across the sky and the shade reaches right field. Line 3 adds emphasis to the passing of time by signaling that this is the last chance for spectators to order drinks. This is another creative way to show us the passing of time and places us in a particular mood as it conjures the atmosphere of a day game. DNR, the sliver of motel soap still in use, by Sherry Hunter Day. The first line tells us that we have a do not resuscitate order in place, or at least contemplated, indicating that someone may be nearing the end of their life. The sliver of motel soap in line 2 is a brilliantly evocative detail. How long does it take to wear down a small bar of soap to a sliver? A few days? A week at most? Though it isn't specified, I imagine the scenario of an adult child visiting a hospitalized elderly parent. That they are staying in a motel suggests the passage of a significant period of time since they last lived close to one another. Is there no longer a family home to stay in? Do they expect to stay at the motel until the parent passes away? How long will that take? A motel isn't somewhere one usually plans to stay very long. It's a practical situation, a place to sleep when not at the parent's bedside or making other end-of-life arrangements. In the third line, we have the 3 simple words, still in use, that tell us the bar of soap is still serving its purpose, has not been used up, while the patient in line 1 is also still hanging on.
Lovely.
The next category is the passing of seasons. End of Summer, the towel rack without its towel, by James Chessing. Line 1 tells us it's the end of summer, but it is as if this fact does not really hit the speaker until he sees the towel rack missing the towel. That small detail of domestic life suddenly brings the reality of the changing season into full focus. Not just the end of the summer, but the memory of the whole summer feels present in this haiku. Deathly pale, a lily comes out from under the earth, by Eugenius Zakarski. Without naming the season at all, many haiku instead use images to evoke this season. Here, a lily comes out from under the earth, which tells us it is spring. Knowing that this haiku was written in Europe, not long after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, adds valuable context and makes the first line especially meaningful. What sort of world does this lily find when it emerges from its winter spent under the ground? A very different one than existed when it bloomed the year before. I think the poem succeeds even without that context, but it does gain in poignancy when you know that added information. Swelling buds. I tell myself there is a tomorrow, by Kala Ramesh. Swelling buds places us clearly in spring, again without using the word spring in the poem. It is as if the reader doubts for a moment that life will go on, but the swelling buds are proof that it will. We don't know, or really need to know, what difficulty has caused the speaker to have this moment of questioning, this need to reassure herself that tomorrow will come. But we can freely imagine any number of scenarios based on our own life circumstances. This poem shifts our consideration of time towards the future. While something in the past has caused this temporary dip in confidence, the future is of primary concern and is emphasized by the last word of the poem.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And we often also measure time between 2 events in our lives. Alpine Lake, where we skinny dipped, now your ashes, by Bob Redmond. The time that has elapsed between skinny dipping, presumably when young and healthy, and now, after a loved one's death, is a moving way to express this measure of years, knowing that Bob Redmond was also facing a difficult illness at the time he wrote this, and may have been contemplating his own mortality, adds an extra layer of meaning, though it is wonderfully evocative even without that added information. Home for the funeral. That same blue frisbee still on their roof, by Gideon Young. The specificity in the detail of the blue frisbee on the roof is what makes this poem feel so authentic. I imagine someone who has returned to their hometown for a funeral. I'm just going to quickly say, maybe people could mute temporarily. I'm hearing other noise. Sorry.
Thank you, Susan.
I imagine someone who has returned to their hometown for a funeral, noticing this small detail of the frisbee on the roof and being transported for a moment into the past when that frisbee was tossed and got stuck on the roof, where it remains. How can a life end while a meaningless plastic object stays in place? It brings to mind the many mundane objects left behind when we die. How long could a frisbee remain on a roof? This detail suggests a time of months or a year or two at most. Mother's Day. From Mom's Sari, The Scent of Mango Pickles by Kanchan Chatterjee. Naming a major holiday adds a seasonal element to this haiku, but what I think really adds an interesting measure of time to it is the scent of mango pickles from Mom's Sari. Scents have such power to bring back memories. I imagine this speaker recalling the many times long ago when he smelled that same scent. That all these years are linked by the scent of mango pickles feels magical and authentic.
Sweet.
A lifetime. Flowering Bittersweet, The Chances I Did Take by Elliot Nicely. In this poem, the speaker seems to contemplate his entire lifetime thus far. I love the twist from what I think is the more common sentiment of looking back on life and feeling regret about all the chances one did not take. Here, the speaker instead recognizes the chances he did take. I find this a fresh and uplifting perspective. A few flakes drifting here and there, our years together, by Barbara Unger. Here, placement of the words on the page enacts the meaning in the poem. The words appear to fall across the page as if they were snowflakes, creating a lovely mood as the speaker considers her years together with her loved one. It isn't necessary to know that her partner had recently died, but that does add to its depth. Home After the News, Morning Dishes, A Lifetime Ago, by Laurie Greer. While this poem uses the word lifetime, the span of time described is likely just a few hours. I can imagine returning home after some life-altering news to see dishes in the sink and feeling that the life lived in that kitchen earlier that same day occurred in a different lifetime. Again, part of the strength of the poem is in not attempting to tell us too much. We don't need to know what the news was, just the feeling it left her with when she returned to the morning dishes. Those hours changed everything.
Lovely, lovely, Kabit.
So, hey, everyone, can I take a minute, Susan? Just 1 second, please. I want to make sure I can call out the people. And Susan, actually, because you are the host, I cannot go ahead and mute them.
Oh, I am the host. Okay.
Yeah. Jharna, can you please mute yourself? Mahua, can you please mute? Thank you, Susan. You muted all. Thank you.
Muting anyone I can find. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Eternity. The eons I wasn't here, the eons I won't be. Winter Stars by Billy Wilson. Almost any time stars or planets are included in a poem, we get a sense of the vastness of time beyond our own lifetime. This moment of epiphany feels authentic as the speaker looks up at the winter stars and feels the endless reach of time in both directions, before her birth and long after her death.
Beautiful.
An old linden tree before me and after, by Anna Maris. This haiku has a similar effect to the prior poem, but uses the image of a tree instead of the stars. An old linden tree will not exist for the eons evoked in the prior poem, but its lifespan is considerably longer than one human life. I wonder how often any of us contemplates that measure of time. When walking through a forest or sitting on a beach, for example, so many of the natural objects around us will exist far longer than we will. That realization can shift our perspective, reminding us of our small place in the larger natural world. Note also that the words "before me" have the additional meaning that the tree is there in front of her. Her being dead goes on, by John Stevenson. I hesitated to include one poet twice, but I couldn't resist. This haiku also summons a sense of eternity. Once someone has died, their absence continues forever. The way these words are stacked one upon the other creates a shape that brings to my mind the shape of a casket. I don't know if that was intended as a concrete haiku, but I have long felt it that way. The spareness of this poem is stunning. The complete and devastating loss is so perfectly conveyed. The pace of time's passing can also be created or evoked in a haiku. Bus stop. A little girl pedals by in butterfly wings, by Dan Curtis. Imagine someone waiting at a bus stop, anticipating boarding a bus and traveling at a certain speed across town. When a little girl appears on a bicycle, an entirely different pace of travel and of experiencing time enters the poem. In line 3, when we see that she is wearing butterfly wings, we sense the fluttering pace of a butterfly, so that this short poem encompasses all three: the bus, the bicycle, and the butterfly. It is one of my favorite poems. One can't help sense the speaker's delight in watching the little girl pass by the bus stop. Train journey. Moonlight settles on my lap, by Hemapriya Chalapan. A train journey conjures a certain pace of experiencing time. The train speeds along, and we settle in for the journey, or rather, it is the moonlight that settles on the speaker's lap. A lovely way to show us the relaxed pace of a long journey by train. And the final category here is the surreal. Funeral morning. I join my son inside his time machine, by John McManus. Some poems reject normal, real-world notions of time entirely. Here, a child creates a time machine just when it is most needed, on the day of a funeral. The grieving adult joins the child in escaping reality in favor of this altered time. Will they pretend to visit the past or the future, or some parallel time altogether? The surreal feels perfectly needed here. And the last poem I'll share with you is Empty Park, Two Crows Start the World Over, by Robert Epstein. What if we could start the world all over? Go back to the beginning of time and reset the clock and start again. There are times when the news makes me think that might be an appealing alternative. If only we could begin again. Thank you so much for having me, and I'll just share this quote I found about time that feels very appropriate. Being with you and not being with you is the only way I have to measure time. by Jorge Luis Borges. And thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Susan, I'm so happy we've recorded it, and it'll always be with us for reference and to go back to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely, lovely.
Susan, before you go, you need to give me the power of hosting back again, please. Thank you.
How do I do that?
Just if you can click on my name and in the participants, Susan, if you click on my name, it should give you the little more bar on the side and you can say make host.
Where the number 42 participants.
Did that work?
Let me see. Yep, it made. Yes, thank you, Susan. Yep.
Thank you. We now request Michael Dylan Welch to come over and give his talk. The power of haiku lies in its vulnerability. The power of haiku lies in its brevity and concise structure. The power of haiku lies in its silences. Over to Michael for his talk on Ma. We are eagerly waiting, Michael.
Thank you very much. To start with, I need to have sharing access.
Kala, would we not have an introduction of Michael by Vandana?
Yes. Sorry. And sorry, I'm very sorry. Please, we'll have an introduction from Vandana. Sorry, Vandana, for that. Oh, yes, please. Please go.
Actually, introducing Michael is not an easy task because listing his contribution and accomplishments will take hours. But being a student of the shortest form of poetry, I'll try to do it under 5 minutes.
Okay.
Michael Dylan Welch is an acclaimed poet, editor, and publisher renowned for his haiku and short poetry with a creative career spanning several decades. Born in 1962 in England, he has lived in England, Ghana, Australia, and Canada, and now resides in Washington, USA. Michael's deep involvement in poetry began in his teenage years when he wrote his first haiku at age 14 in 1976. To put things in perspective, I was just 1 year old then, and Michael wrote his first haiku. And since then, he has dedicated himself to exploring and advancing English language forms of Japanese poetry, especially haiku, tanka, and related genres. He is the founder of Press Here, a small publishing company known for producing award-winning haiku chapbooks. He has edited influential journals such as Woodnotes and Tundra, the Journal of the Short Poem, bringing fresh perspectives and raising standards in short-form poetry publishing. As founder of National Haiku Writing Month and co-founder of the Haiku North America Conference, the American Haiku Archives, and the Tanka Society of America, Michael has built lasting communities for haiku enthusiasts. His commitment to building poetry communities is shown by his ongoing work curating Soul-Fooled Poetry Night and launching the Western Washington Poets Network. His poetry has been featured in national publications, journals, anthologies, broadcast on international radio stations, chiseled in stone, and even showcased on US postage stamps, earning him recognition and awards, including appointments as Raymond Washington's Poet Laureate and keynote invitations at major international festivals. Michael has profoundly influenced modern haiku writing through his pioneering work as a poet, educator, editor, and advocate for contemporary haiku practices. He coined the term dejaku for haiku that echo previously written poems, helping writers understand intertextuality and originality in their work. Advocacy, teaching, community building, and fearless innovation has made Michael a central figure in shaping the direction and spirit of modern haiku. Michael's haiku are admired for their versatility and relatability. His work demonstrates how haiku can elevate everyday moments into something universally meaningful. Through his poems, Michael invites readers to engage emotionally and imaginatively. I would like to read some of Michael's poem to justify that why Michael is known in haiku circles as Captain Haiku. Spring breeze, the pull of her hand as we near the pet store. Spring breeze, the pull of her hand as we near the pet store. Toll booth lit for Christmas, from my hand to hers, warm change. Toll booth lit for Christmas, from my hand to hers, warm change. Spawning ground, the ripple in the creek becomes a fin. Spawning ground, the ripple in the creek becomes a fin. Fairy gift shop, all the tourist mugs gently tinkling. Fairy gift shop, all the tourist mugs gently tinkling. I can go on, but I know, like me, all of you want to listen to Michael, so I'm handing the reins over to Michael.
Thank you so much, Vandana.
Yes, thank you, Vandana. You're hired. I appreciate that warm introduction. I'm very grateful too for the opportunity to speak to all of you, and thank you for being here. Thank you, Kala, for engaging me to help with the contest and also to give a presentation here today. Before I begin, I need to make sure I have PowerPoint access, which sharing access, which I do. Thank you.
Now. Yep.
So my essay or presentation today is called Finding the Sky. And this essay first appeared in Kyoto Journal. And that was in July of 2016. And it also appears in Ma, The Japanese Secret to Contemplation and Calm, which is about to be published by Tuttle in a few weeks. And it should be available worldwide by next month. So I'm excited about that, and I'm pleased to share these thoughts. At the end of this essay, I also have 3 postscripts, so stay tuned for that. Welcome to Finding the Sky. There's a story told about Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche that speaks to the idea of implication in haiku. In 1971, Rinpoche was teaching a class on Buddhism at the University of Colorado. In one lecture, as John J. Baker reports in his reminiscence, Dharma in a Single Drawing, published by Tricycle in 2015, Rinpoche drew a picture on the blackboard and asked, "What is this a picture of?" Eventually, someone answered by saying the obvious. It's a picture of a bird, as indeed it was. But Rinpoche then said something that altered his students' view of the obvious, akin to how we might approach haiku. He said, "It's a picture of the sky." A lesson for haiku poets is that as we write, we can fixate so intensely on what's in front of us that we neglect what is out the corner of the eye, what might also be happening at the same time, and what might be implied emotionally, culturally, and spatially. As readers, too, we can focus so much on the image that we miss the image's context. and again, usually implied in emotional, cultural, and spatial ways. It's one thing to think about the Japanese concept of ma, or the silence or psychological space within the poem, usually created by kireji. In Japanese haiku, or the two-part structure in English, producing an effect from these combinations, known as toriawase. But it's another challenge to think about the space around the poem as well. Kireji are cutting words that divide haiku into two juxtaposed parts that are both grammatically and imagistically separate. And I'd really like to emphasize that distinction. I think juxtaposition and the effect of kireji or toriawase is sometimes misunderstood. And the way I see it in English is you have two parts that are grammatically separate from each other if the poem has two parts, but also imagistically separate. In other words, one doesn't repeat the other, and of course you want to avoid having three parts. But I think the grammatical and imagistic distinction between the two parts is an important thing to emphasize as defining and understanding juxtaposition. Though at first seemingly unrelated, these two parts interact much like a chemical reaction, like the mixing of baking soda and vinegar. And you know what happens when you mix the two. The result is like a whoosh of intuiting a haiku. Kazuo Mizumura has referred to kireji as soul punctuation, as virtually untranslatable emotional shading. And I love that phrase, emotional shading. They give the reader two parts to leap between and create a transcendent space within the poem. But more than that, an effective haiku has space around these two parts as well, making 1 + 1 = 3. The poem's emotional effect is perhaps the most obvious consequence of the words we read. Excuse me. Something deeper than superficial compassion we might feel in a haiku about a puppy or a homeless person. A broader compassion recognizes that the subject of the poem matters. Whatever it is, moving beyond a feeling of this is wonderful or this is sad to the exclamation that this is. We direct this sense of wonder to the particular focus of each poem and to the relationship we and the author have to each individual subject. An additional context is whatever we may have previously learned about the author. For example, we know Shiki's short life was racked with pain from tuberculosis, which provides a profound emotional context for many of his poems. This is part of the space around the poem. Culturally, of course, the poem shares a moment of experience in our language, in our time, with allusions to the places, events, and activities of our daily lives. Part of the space we might bring to a poem is knowing when it was written and who it was written for. For example, if a haiku refers to tending the fire, the meaning changes over time. Such a reference 2 centuries ago would readily imply a fireplace or iron stove, which would have been the only source of heat in many homes. This context makes tending a fire a chore, a necessity. But when tending a fire today in our much more comfortable lives, we might more readily think of camping, or as a luxury in a chiefly decorative fireplace at home, thus a choice rather than a chore. Thus, the meaning of the poem would be affected by the context of when it was written, not just in terms of what wars were being fought at the time, but in much simpler matters of language. The cultural space around a poem is an intuitive exercise in empathy, sometimes projection. but other implications, the skies around the birds, are less obvious. Indeed, aside from the effect of haiku's fourth line, the context provided by the name under the poem, and the way meaning might change over time, the seasoned haiku reader takes a moment to contemplate other factors that provide context for the poem. No wonder Seisensui referred to haiku as an unfinished poem, requiring the reader's interaction to complete the poem's scant details, to extrapolate the context, what might happen next, and the emotional or cultural setting of each poem. In Cor Vandenheuvel's famous Tundra poem, the white space around the word, alone in the middle of an otherwise blank page, provides an example of one kind of spatial context. With so little text that one has to interact with the poem to finish it. Here, the snow around the rock, the word tundra, as if emerging from snow melting in the spring, can imply space and expanse, with a hint of spring's promise of resurgence after a bleak and barren winter. I interpret this poem as a spring poem because of that idea of the rock emerging from melting snow that surrounds the word. Here's another way that I thought to present the poem. This is not the most important kind of spatial implication, however. In The Way of Zen, 1957, Alan Watts wrote that in poetry, the empty space is the surrounding silence of the mind in which one does not think about the poem, but actually feels the sensation which it evokes, all the more strongly for having said so little. Indeed, in more conventional haiku, a different kind of spatial implication occurs when we think of what else is happening in the context of the poem in front of us, the environment that is part of the poem's space. Consider this poem by Peggy Willis Lyles. Winter night. He patiently untangles her antique silver chain. Spatially, in a physical sense, we can imagine an implied wife, perhaps in the next room, waiting just as patiently, or perhaps not even aware that her husband is helping to solve a problem for her. The Kigo, or seasonal reference, tells us something too. The long and dark evenings of winter provide the time to focus on tasks such as this. Tasks we might not do in the summer when we prefer to be outdoors, to take advantage of longer daylight hours. The question a sensitive reader will ask, what is this poem about? The obvious answer is the untangling of a silver chain. But the deeper answer is relationships, probably between a husband and a wife, and the love one feels for the other, demonstrated by the patient untangling of a silver chain. An heirloom that is now the wife's, but surely has a much longer history, beginning before the wife was born. It is, after all, an antique chain. So really, the poem is about relationships over generations, about the chain of connections from person to person that motivated mother to give the silver chain to her daughter, and for that daughter to give it to her daughter, and how family members near these mothers and daughters are also part of the heirloom's history. While the chain of connections may become tangled over the decades, we still seek to untangle and understand them. This is because we value them, value the love, history, and continuity they represent, added to here by the attention demonstrated by the husband, who values his wife even more than the symbolic value of a prized possession. Yes, sensitive readers will ask, what is this poem really about? In the best haiku, the answer is not what's in plain sight. More sensitive answer is akin to saying it's a picture of the sky. It's our job as readers of haiku poetry to discover each poem's sky. I have 3 postscripts that I'd like to share with you as follows. 1. Only from the heart can you touch the sky, so said Rumi. In her book Haiku Mind, 2008, Patricia Donegan presents the following poem in a chapter titled Sky Mind. She reports that it was Allen Ginsberg's death haiku, written about a week before he died. To see void, vast, infinite, look out the window into the blue sky. Donegan adds the following commentary. This haiku is a wonderful reminder of a simple practice in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition called sky meditation, looking up into the vast sky and feeling the large expanse of space, which stops our mind's preoccupation of the moment. Sky is merely a reminder of this openness that is always within us, that we can tap into anytime. Wherever we are, we can always simply stop and look up at the sky, or even imagine the sky, and breathe out a long-awaited sigh. For a moment, we are back to our natural state of mind, which is as vast and open as the sky. All else is just thoughts and feelings like clouds passing by. In any moment, we can come back to sky mind. And I would wish for all haiku poets, sky mind. Ginsberg's poem first appeared in Death and Fame, Last Poems, 1993 to 1997. To me, it's more of a statement than a haiku, but Donegan does explain that it was written as what was called an American sentence, which was Ginsberg's invention of an alternative to haiku, seeking to be just 17 syllables, usually in a single line, paying no attention to most of the other targets for haiku in English or Japanese. But still, it's a sky mind poem. And seeking sky mind may be part of what it means to find the sky in each haiku we write and read. Postscript 2. Without further commentary, here's a quotation from The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts. But you will cease to feel isolated when you recognize, for example, that you do not have a sensation of the sky. You are that sensation. For all purposes of feeling, your sensation of the sky is the sky, and there is no you apart from what you sense, feel, and know. This is why the mystics and many of the poets give frequent utterance to the feeling that they are one with the all, or united with God, or as Sir Edwin Arnold expressed it, foregoing the self, universe grows I. 3. I recently came across the following words that seem immediately relevant to the idea of finding the sky in life and in poetry. They're from a meditation exercise in John Braham's The Dharma of Poetry, published in 2021. In this meditation, practice noticing the space between and around everything. Just as we are conditioned to focus on our thoughts rather than the space between thoughts, we are conditioned to focus on objects rather than the space between them. Shifting the focus of our outward visual attention from things to space can help us detach from thoughts and relax to awareness itself. Indeed, as any experienced downhill skier will tell you, the secret to skiing well through a glade of trees is not to look at the trees, but at the spaces between them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. That was a beautiful exposition. Thank you. We now, I think.
Michael, I'm going to request you, sorry, Kala, Michael, you need to give me back my rights, please. And thank you for the presentation.
Yes. We now come to the end, and I would.
Who do I give them to?
Yes, thank you.
I
To
request.
Yes. To me, Kashiana Singh, Michael.
Okay, that's done.
I got it. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. And I request Kashiana Singh to give the vote of thanks for this event. Yes, Kashiana, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Kala. What an evening, what a morning, what an afternoon or night, wherever you are. It's precious, as somebody just put in the chat. It's spiritual, meditative, but most important, Kala, it is what you said at the start, which is the nurturing community. To me, that's really what Triveni is all about. Kala, I have said it many, many times, like many others, almost, I would say, I can claim on behalf of everybody, you as the guru and everybody else as learners and teachers, right? Everybody is a teacher and a learner. Michael, Susan, so beautifully said, so beautifully articulated. Ashish, Michael, so well selected and so beautifully converted into comments, all the poems that you selected. Susan, of course, you are a stalwart. Michael, you are a stalwart. But coming to the community and bringing a vulnerable, poetic self is really what Triveni is all about. So appreciate it. Thank you. Vani, Rohan, Kala, I might be missing a few people. Kala, yourself, Vandana, Ashish, Ravi, everybody who's played any role in helping set up Triveni. On behalf of Kala, I would say thank you. On behalf of Triveni, I would say thank you. If I'm missing a name, that's not for any intent. I think everybody plays a role in some shape, manner. Our suggestions are active, open, and Kala, you're always encouraging dialogue. So appreciate and thank you for that. I would say just one thing, which is somebody said the artlessness is, Kala, I think you said it at the beginning, the artlessness of what we are learning and how much the world needs that. The less of any labeling and conventions, and really just focusing on the simplicity. Michael's exposition was all about simplicity. Susan's was all about simplicity. Each of the poems was all about simplicity. So I would just say thank you. Let us all keep writing. The world needs poetry more today than ever before. And Triveni, hold it strong and keep bringing the world and keep bringing the poets into your community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kashiana. That was a sweet vote of thanks, and thank you. I would like to request, maybe I see Scott Mason here. Would you have anything to say about haiku or about... Yes, Scott? Would you like to?
Well, I don't think I can add a lot to what's been said today. This is something we all love, and so I just wanted to be witness to what everyone shared, and the selections of those poems were fabulous. And I wrote down every one so I can learn from them. And so thank you all. This was delightful.
And thank you for being with us from start to end. It's very, very kind of you to find the time to be with us. Amazing. Thank you so much. I would also request Billy. Yes, Billy, would you like to say a few words? We would love to hear from you.
Well, just I feel privileged to be here and so appreciative, not only of the invitation, but of the continuing presence and efforts of everyone involved with the Triveni movement, I would call it, more than just a website. And for finding this space for an international community to express this fine art form. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you for being with us completely. And I know how active you are at Triveni. We love to read your comments, and we love to read your poems, and we love to publish you. Thank you for being with us. Michael, would you like to say something, Michael? Michael,
well, yes. One thing that is.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Michael, yes, Michael.
well,
yes.
I'll just say something quickly and then be done.
Yes.
I've really admired Triveni's remarkable presence online and as an influence for haiku India. It's so much is going on. I just in awe of how well everybody is working together to make so much good information be shared and to promote haiku in this way. So thank you to everyone involved, and again, thank you for the opportunity to participate today. And then I'll let the other Michael speak.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, Michael Smear.
I want to thank everyone for their presentations. They were indeed lovely, and they really touched my heart. I'm a very spiritual being, and that is why I love haiku so much. Perhaps I may invite everyone in the Triveni Haikai circle to partake in the latest My Haiku Pond anniversary Haikai contest.
Mm.
We're opening our submission window tonight, and it will be open until the end of the month. So you can find the event in the events part on myhaikupond.com. And I will also post the direct link to the event in the chat here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Marian, thank you for being with us. Would you like to say something? Marian Clark?
Hi, Carla.
Yes.
Yeah, that was amazing. Really, really good. Triveni is an amazing space anyway, and I love how people from all levels and all around the world can come together with a great sense of camaraderie and fun. So well done. I think I've been there from quite a long time ago, but I haven't had as much time to join you recently. So maybe I should make a New Year's resolution to do that in 2026.
Yes, we are waiting. We are waiting to have you back. Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome.
Ed, would you like to say something, Ed?
Hi. Well, I think that we all came together today. Let's see. We all came together this evening, whatever, in a peaceful gathering, which I think is very good. So here's to more peace.
Thank you. Matthew, I'm happy you could make it. Thank you so much for coming, Matthew.
Yeah, I suppose I would simply add to what the others have said in terms of gratitude and I've really been thinking about and writing notes as well about the sky mind. We've got a lot of that out here in the South Pacific, of course, along with the sea, by the way. It's just coming on 5 a.m. here. So I was happy. This is something that would get me out of bed at 3 a.m. that most other things won't do, other than the roosters outside my door. But I'm really pleased to have been here and to been part or to have partaken in the two presentations. So may we all continue to practice Sky Mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Barry, is there anything that you'd like to say?
Are you asking me, Kala?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So what I love so much about being a haiku writer is the goodwill of the community. I just started writing in 2020, so I'm in my 5th year. And this has come to me later in life as after a retirement from the law profession. And it's really added so much to my life, and it's been life affirming and life changing. The acceptance, the support, and the caring of all my haiku friends is just a miracle. And I'm always happy. I can't think of anything more that I would want to do than spend a morning or an evening with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lovely. Cynthia? Yes?
I really appreciate Triveni being a place that, in addition to haiku, also embraces tanka. And I know that I've just started a mentoring circle with the Tanka Society of America, and I've encouraged the folks in my group to join because of how knowledgeable and how supportive the community is. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for being with us throughout. Thank you. Would our Indians are so many here? Would anyone would like to talk or say how this evening went off? We are so many here, so I don't want to just name few. Anybody? Milan? Would you like to say something, Milan? Suresh?
Yeah,
Anyone?
Kala, it was
Yes, Suresh, tell me.
it was so wonderful, and really, I could see so much kindness around. I mean, to see the kind faces of, I felt so elated. I mean, it's like I'm spiritually awakened, something like that. That's the feel which I got. Wonderful. It was wonderful. Thank you, Kala, and thank you to
Thank
all.
you. And I remember, I think in the Mahotsav, you were there very much present, and you read few of your poems, and then your laugh. I can still remember that laughter of yours, Suresh. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Kala. Thank you.
Should we just, is anyone else wanting to say something, or should we call it a day? And thank you to everyone for being here with us. It means a lot to us. Thank you. Thank you, Kashiana, once again for hosting this event.
It is my pleasure to be in service of this community. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think we'll leave.
Take care.
Yeah.
Good night. Good morning.
Good
Take
night,
care.
everybody.
Be safe, everybody.
Good day.
Thank you, everyone. Until we meet again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye, Kala.
Bye.